Greetings, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be helping you on how to prepare general journal following the periodic inventory method or inventory system. So without any waste of time, let's go to the transactions and the information provided. Okay, so let's see. The following information is found in the books of Induna Traders in February 2019. They use periodic inventory system, right? And then we will go and start with transaction number 1, and this will be our answer sheet, where it indicates here you put the date or the numbering, details, the account to be debited, the account to be credited. There you show up the amount. Okay, so let's go to the questions and start with the transactions today. Transaction number 1 says received an invoice for goods bought from BB wholesalers for 28,500, right? So here we bought inventory on credit. Remember, when you have received an invoice received is an invoice or a source document that a company receives after buying goods from their supplier, right? So now this indicates that you have bought goods on credit, right? So 2 accounts affected here is going to be inventory and creditors control. But remember, in periodic inventory system, we call inventory purchases, right? So it means 2 accounts affected that must be recorded in your answer sheet. There is going to be purchases and creditors control, right? So let's go to our answer sheet and record this one. So transaction number 1 is there. We're gonna debit purchases because we're increasing our purchases. Say purchases. And then you credit your creditors control. Creditors control. And then if they ask you to narrate it there, you'll narrate you can say bought goods on credit. Bought goods on credit or goods purchased on credit, no problem. Or goods bought on credit or bought goods on credit, right? So the amount will be 28,500 there, and then you also gonna put 28,500 there. So periodic inventory system is very easy. Okay, this is how we do it. And then I hope you guys understand this one. Let's go to the next transaction in there. The next transaction, it says you have issued a cash slip for goods 11,500. So here, whenever you issue a slip or you issue a cash slip, it means you are selling goods, right? You are selling goods to your clients or your customers. So when you sell for cash, because a cash slip issued is a source document where you as a business issue to your clients when they purchase goods from you or whenever you sell goods, right? So here is basically, it basically means you have sold goods. You have sold goods for cash. You have sold goods for cash because after selling you also issued what? A cash slip. So it means you have sold goods for cash. So 2 accounts affected here, since you are selling, is going to be bank and sales, right? Bank and sales because you sold goods for cash. right? So you're gonna go to your answer sheet there. You say number 2, and then you're gonna debit bank and credit sales because you sold sales, and then a narration there will be goods sold for cash. Narration, put your narration there. Goods sold for cash. Goods sold for cash. That is your narration if it's required in your question paper or in your test. And then you sold goods for how much? 11,500. And there 11,500. You see now, and then that is how you record transaction number 2 under periodic inventory method or periodic inventory system. Okay, so that is transaction number 2. Let's go to the next transaction there, which is transaction number 3. Transaction number 3 says a check counterfoil for 2,500. This was for a payment to LR Logistics for transporting goods bought on the 1st of February 2019. So here you are paying a transport utilizing a method of check, right? So a check counterfoil is a source document where you make a payment in a form of issuing a check. Then you'll have a source document called a check counterfoil. So you basically made a payment for what? For transport, right? So whenever you are doing or utilizing the periodic inventory system, 2 accounts affected is going to be carriage on purchases and bank. Carriage on purchases and bank. So you go to your answer sheet there, transaction number 3, and then you're gonna debit carriage on purchases. Carriage on purchases. And then you debit carriage on purchases and credit what? Bank. And credit bank there. Bank. And then your narration will be delivery cost paid for cash. Delivery cost. Delivery cost paid. Delivery costs paid for cash, right? For how much? For 2,500. See now. And then there as well to 5002 2,500, and then we can go to the next transaction. The next transaction is transaction number 4. Let's go there. Transaction number 4 says a check counterfoil for goods 35,000. Here it indicates that you also purchased goods and you made a payment in a form of check, right? So you purchased goods here. Whenever you purchase goods here like this for cash, I mean, using a check payment, 2 accounts affected, there's going to be purchases because you purchased goods, and goods are inventory, and inventory in periodic is called purchases, right? So you come this side, you debit purchases because you're buying goods. It means your goods will increase there, and goods are asset. Whenever asset increases, we debit, right? So, and then your bank as well, it's what? It's an asset, but it's decreasing because you're making a payment to the goods that you are purchasing for. Therefore, there's a decrease in your bank. If you check transaction number 2 there, because you were selling goods for cash. You received the money. So you see your bank is debited, right? And then you're going to credit your bank here because this time around you're making a payment, not receiving, right? And then your narration will be goods bought for cash. Goods bought for cash. And then how much did you purchase for? For 35,000. So go there, you debit your purchases for 35,000. And then bank 35,000. And then that is transaction number 4. That's how you record transaction number 4. I hope you guys are following. Let's go to transaction number 5. Let's go to transaction number 5. Then let's see what does it say. It says you have issued an invoice. You have issued an invoice to Deb Enterprises for 20,000. For 20,000, you have issued an invoice to Deb Enterprises for 20,000. So this means you have purchased inventory. This means you have sold. This means you have sold inventory on credit. You have sold inventory on credit, and whenever you sell on credit, two accounts affected is going to be debtors control and sales, right? Debtors control and sales. So why am I saying you sold goods on credit here? Because whenever you issue an invoice issued, it's a source document that you issue whenever you sell goods to your clients on credit. That is why I'm saying this transaction basically means you've sold goods on credit. Therefore, two accounts affected when you sell on credit is going to be debtors control and sales. Let's go and look at this transaction there. So you're going to debit your debtors. Debtors control. And then you're going to credit your sales. Credit your sales. This is how you record when you sell on credit. And then when you record, the narration would be goods sold on credit. Goods. And the narration part there. Narration part is this one. Do this. So your narration will be goods sold on credit. Goods sold on credit. Goods sold on credit. And then how much did you sell for? Let's go and check it there on your question. You sold goods on credit for 20,000. Then you come there and say 20,000, right? And then sales 20,000. That's how we record transaction number 5. That's how we record transaction number 5. Let's go to transaction number 6. Let's go to transaction number 6. So transaction number 6, they say received a credit note for 1,200 from BP wholesalers, right? So remember, here it indicates that you as a business have returned the goods to your supplier, right? That is why you have received a credit note, because a credit note received, it's a source document that you receive from your supplier when you return goods to them. Maybe you bought goods that were damaged, or maybe you bought goods that you're not interested in, you return them. They will issue to you a credit note. You will receive a credit note. So this transaction basically means you have returned the goods to your supplier for 1,200. So two accounts affected here. Since you are returning the goods to your supplier, is going to be creditors control and purchases returns, right? Two accounts affected is going to be creditors control. You debit creditors control when you return goods there. Creditors control. Because if you check transaction number 1, you were purchasing, creditors control was credited. Here, you are returning, creditors control must be debited. And then you're gonna credit purchases returns. If you check your purchases, whenever you acquire goods, it was debited. Now, since you are returning, it's gonna be purchases returns. Purchases returns. And then your narration there, your narration will be your narration when you return goods to your suppliers will be goods returned to the supplier or goods returned to the creditor. That is your narration, right? And then how much goods did you return for? 1,200. 1,200, right? And then that is how you record transaction number 6. Let's go to transaction number 7. Let's go to transaction number 7. Transaction number 7, they say a voucher for goods donated to the local orphanage 2,000. A voucher. So you issued a voucher for goods donated to the local orphanage, right? So now you need to record that transaction. So two accounts affected there on that transaction is going to be donation and what you've donated. What you've donated is goods, right? You've donated goods. So two accounts affected there is going to be donation and purchases. Donation and purchases. So you go there, you say you debit donation, you credit purchases, which are goods, because remember, goods in perpetual are called inventory, but in periodic we call goods purchases. So we're going to credit purchases because the goods are decreasing since you donated them, they're going out. And then narration, when you donate goods there, narration will be goods donated. Goods donated or goods donated to the orphanage. Goods donated. Goods donated to orphanage. Goods donated to orphanage. We donated goods for 2,000 rand. 2,000 rand. 2,000 rand there. Okay. And then the last transaction, which is transaction number 8. Let's see. How do we record this one? They say issued a credit note to Debt Enterprises for 1,800. So now, here they basically mean that the clients that you sold goods to have returned the goods. Why? Because a credit note issued is a source document that you as a business issue to your customer whenever they return goods that are damaged or maybe they didn't like the goods, right? Then you will issue a credit note, right? So this transaction basically means you have received goods from your customer in a form of returning them after they've purchased them. The customer has returned the goods to you. That's why you issue a credit note, because a credit note issued is a source document. It's a source document where you as a business issue to your customer or clients whenever they return goods to you. Just to emphasize that. So now two accounts affected there, since we're dealing with a periodic inventory system, is going to be sales returns and debtors control. Sales returns and debtors control. So let's go to your answer sheet there and record this transaction. So it's going to be sales returns. and data's control. And data's control. And then narration, a data, returned goods, a data returned goods, right? And then they returned goods for how much? 1,800. 1,800. 1,800. So that is our transactions that we did for periodic inventory system. We only had 8 transactions. So I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys will never fail something like this. In fact, this is the simplest topic. You just have to master it, do it again and again and again, and you'll make it. Do not fail something like this. This is very easy for you. I appreciate for your support, and I appreciate you guys for watching my YouTube videos and subscribing. I really appreciate. Continue to share, like, and put a comment where you do not understand. I'll respond to you. And thank you for watching. Salute.